now by Bill Koch, talking college hoops. You were at the URI Davidson game down in Charlotte yesterday. What happened to the Rams? Were they due for a clunker? They made it interesting, that's for sure, but ultimately a loss.
I think the effort was there. I just think the execution was lacking, especially in the first half. You start off, you're 11 for 35 from the field. You let Davidson get going a little bit on the offensive end, and it's just hard in a road game in a sold-out building to try and come from behind the whole time.
Right. How does that loss affect their tournament resume, if at all?
I still think they'd be in the NCAA tournament if the season ended today, but it does lessen your margin for error now. You must win at Fordham. You must win at UMass. You need to beat St. Louis at home. If you lose to anyone not named Dayton over the next 5 games, you could find yourselves in a little bit of trouble.
All right, so you outlined it. At Fordham this Wednesday, St. Louis is at home, Dayton's at home, and at UMass. So you think they need to win all 3 of those games besides the Dayton to feel pretty good?
I do. And maybe one more in Brooklyn on top of that.
So with that being said, could they get tense? Is there, you said the margin of error here. They had been playing so well and so consistently. Is this just a flash in the pan, this performance against Davidson?
Well, this is where your leaders need to stand up and be counted. And this is the value of having Jeff Doughton, Cyril Langevin, Fats Russell, 3 guys who have been in a stretch run like this before, who have played in NCAA tournament games before, who desperately want to get back to that stage. This is the value of being able to lean on those guys in tough spots like this.
All right, so do you put any stock in where they fall in the A-10? Right now they're in the 2, but St. Bonaventure and Richmond breathing down their throat. Should they fall to the 3 or the 4 spot, they still wouldn't play till Friday in the A-10 tournament, but is that impactful for them?
In terms of their NCAA hopes, I wouldn't think so. It's more about their individual resume than anything else. Like, they could finish 13-5 or even 12-6 and still be second. But those type of losses, that number of losses would be damaging in terms of their tournament hopes.
So right now, 9, 10 seed maybe. Is that where they're going to live?
Right about there. Unless you were to go to Brooklyn and win it, and that means beating Dayton either in the regular season or in Brooklyn, you could get a decent bounce from doing that. But generally, you're going to be right around that 8, 9, 10 seed line. I think that's about the best they can do.
All right, meanwhile, PC all of a sudden is not only in the mix, but Joey Brackett's had them in the tournament today, coming off that big win over Marquette yesterday. PC is rolling right now. What did you see in that game yesterday that makes you think they're a tournament team?
It's probably the best I've seen them play in a long time, just in terms of how well-rounded it was. They shared the ball offensively. They had guys making shots. They were aggressive going to the rim. They defended Marcus Howard very well. He got a lot of his points very late in that game.
It was
when
a quiet 38.
The issue was already decided. I think I saw he had 19 in the last 5 minutes. The game was already over by then. Providence has really shown impressive focus here and mental toughness down the stretch to really play themselves in a position where they control their own destiny in terms of the NCAA.
All right, so they're 9-6. 16-12 overall. At Villanova, they have a week off. They don't play there until next weekend. Versus Xavier, versus DePaul. 2-1 with a loss at Nova, good enough?
Win the 2 home games, win 1 game at Madison Square Garden, and I think you're in the tournament.
I think they're in. Okay. A lot of Rhodey people, on social media, you experience this. Rhodey fans, get on the PC resume and vice versa. 16-12. So if they get 18-13 going into Madison Square Garden, URI fans will be like, 19 wins, that's not enough. But the amount of quad 1 wins does it for them, right?
7 quadrant 1 wins for Providence. And that's the thing about the tournament committee is a lot of times they will default to who you've beaten, whether it's quadrant 1 teams or teams in the field. If you've beaten elite opponents, it stands to reason that you can win games in March. And that will gain you admittance into the tournament.
We mentioned these quad 1, quad 2 casually, but for the viewer, can you explain it?
Sure. They have something called a net ranking, which rates your strength 1 to 353, all the teams in college basketball. And the quadrants are broken down on who you beat and where you beat them. If you beat a team that's 1 through 30 in the net at home, that's a quadrant 1 win. If they're 1 through 75 on the road, that's a quadrant 1 win. You get a little more leeway on the road as opposed to at home. And there's 4 different brackets, quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they evaluate each of your games and your resume at the end of the season based on how you did against those quadrants. Providence has been very strong against the best teams on their schedule, 7 and 8 against quadrant 1 opponents, which is really good.
There you have it. All right, and if you're a betting man, URI, PC, neither or both get in as we stand here today?
As we stand here right now, I still say both.
Wow, all right, that'd be great. That'd be a lot of excitement in March here for Local Hoops. All right, he's Bill Koch. He writes for the Providence Journal. Catch him online at projo.com. And in the hard copy Providence Journal, which I read today, I was down to my parents.
Thank you, thank you.
It's good to you. You're above the fold. PC got a little bit more love than your URI, but you're right up there.
As they should. They beat a ranked team at home.
Yeah. All right, Bill, thanks so much.
Thanks, Yannick.